Hi, everyone. I'm going to just wait to see if there's anybody else. Can everybody hear?
Yep.
Good. Welcome everybody. My name is Sandy Triano, and I'm really honored to be here today to be with you all and to be able to celebrate a life well lived, the life of Bradford James Stewart. I'm sure Brad would have loved that we're incorporating into this service two of his passions: music by Tyler Simmons, his nephew, and technology by Alec Wenning, his other nephew. Also, I'd like to welcome everybody that's come here from out of town. Brad's brother Jeff, his wife Lori, Brad's nephews David and Eric and Ben and his niece Lauren. And his other niece is online right now, Shayna. For a time, Brad walked among us and taught us of beauty, life, and love. Now we come together in this place to acknowledge his contribution to each of our lives and to find in our hearts peace with his passage. We express appreciation for Brad's presence in our lives and to know that now he lives in a world of eternal life. The venerable Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh said, "This body is not me. I am not limited by this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I have never died. Look at the ocean and the sky filled with stars, manifestations from my wondrous true mind. Since before time, I have been free. Birth and death are only doors through which we pass, sacred thresholds on our journey. Birth and death are a game of hide and seek. So laugh with me, hold my hand. Let us say, travel well. Say goodbye to meet again soon. We meet today. We meet again tomorrow. We will meet at the source every moment. We meet each other in all forms of life." I'm going to take this off. By recognizing the sacredness of the opportunity to wake up in recognition of the sacred journey of Brad, recognizing that Brad is transcending duality, transcending pain, suffering, fear, sorrow, sadness, and dwelling in peace, joy, happiness, and liberation. Recognizing that there's no birth and no death, no coming and no going, no age, no time, non-duality, and no separation. With this understanding, we cultivate a peaceful mind with Brad's passing. We recognize and honor Brad and how he lived his life. The kindness and compassion that he demonstrated, a deep interest in nearly everything, his big heart and mind, and his generosity and spirit. We hold Janice and Brad's family and friends in unconditional love and support. If we could see the miracle in a single life, our whole world would change. Brad has entered into a new phase in the continuity of life. It's been said that death is a release of our heavy flesh so we can once again soar with the eagles. The poet Khalil Gibran said, "Mourn me not with apparel of black, but dress in color and rejoice with me. Talk not of my departure with sighs in your heart. Close your eyes and you will see me with you forevermore." Let us take a few moments now to close our eyes and remember Brad as we knew him. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Tyler Simmons.
Music was one of the things that my Uncle Brad and I bonded over. And I'm just going to play the song. don't need it. Yes, you don't want it to be. Everything I have to give, I give to you. It's not like we planned. Try to stand, but you could not stand. To see me shut down so low, stop to leave to there's something hard around us, follow. Tell you what we're gonna do. Yeah. You will shelter me, my love, and I shelter you. I will shelter you. Left you heartbroken at night until those very words we spoke. Is there anybody ever made just a fool out of you? It's hard to believe it, that even as my eyes can see, the very things that made you live is still in you. There's something hard around us, follow. Tell you what we're gonna do. Yeah. You will shelter me, my love, and I shelter you. Will shelter you. Will shelter you. Will shelter you. I will shelter you. I will shelter you.
Thank you, Tyler. That was beautiful. Bradford James Stewart was born at 4:37 a.m. on August 13th, 1956 in Fresno, California, and left this world at 4:45 a.m. on May 21st, 2022. He leaves behind his beautiful wife, Janice Wenning, with whom he spent 25 years exploring the world, traveling to exotic places to dive, such as Fiji, Indonesia, Bora Bora, and their beloved Belize, traveling throughout Italy and Switzerland with loved ones, traveling to meet family in Ireland, and spending time on Gilmore Pond with friends and many generations of relatives. Within the past 3 years, he and Janice began to enjoy discovering America and Canada in their Silver Bee Sprinter. He leaves behind his mother, Maxine Stewart, his brother, Jeff Stewart, and wife, Lori, mother-in-law, Margaret Wenning, brother-in-law, Jim Wenning, and wife, Pam, his sister-in-law, Nancy Wenning, brother-in-law, Paul Wenning, and Tamara, his wife, and nieces and nephews, Eric Stewart, Lauren Postlewaite, David Stewart, Shayna Wright, Ben Cohen, Jared Simmons, Tyler Simmons, Alec Wenning, Owen Wenning, and of course his furry, four-legged black scallywag, Blaze. He's preceded in death by his father, Blaine Stewart, who died when Brad was 16 years old. Brad was one of the rare humans that had a multitude of friends from all parts of life and actually kept in touch with them, whether through funny texts, pictures of travels on Instagram, or emails forwarding the latest music, video, or crazy political stunt. Brad moved to Santa Barbara, California in 1974 to attend the University of California, Santa Barbara, where he completed a master's degree in geography. He told wild tales of living on the beach in Carpinteria for his first few months at UCSB and made many long-lasting friendships there, as well as the 25 years he spent at URS and SCIC. Brad had a lifelong love of cycling and was happiest tuning in to world cycling events throughout the year. Finally, on a personal note, there were many mornings in Belize that I would wake up to see the sunrise, and Brad would already be up, taking in the beauty of the new day. Above all, we can say that Brad appreciated life and all it had to offer. Now I'd like to welcome Brad's brother, Jeff Stewart, and his niece and nephews, Lauren, David, Ben, and Eric. Come on up.
Yeah. Sanitized. Howdy. I'd like to thank all of you for being here and honoring Brad and loving him. He loved all of you. He was a great friend. I'd like to say thank Janice and Jane and Sandy for all the hard work they've put into this. And I'll just get to it. This is not going to be a horribly formal presentation. There will be no dancing. And I just want to say that on that morning in August 13th, that morning of August 13th, I was sleeping in the back of a giant black car named a DeSoto. And I remember my father coming out checking on me. I mean, it's hard to believe, Fresno, 1956, sleeping out in a car by myself, but I did. And shortly after that birth, I think it was about 6 a.m., all three came down, and my dad dropped this 10-pound, 13-ounce watermelon in my lap. And I'm like, good Lord, this is my brother? He's already as big as me already. And off we rode. I don't think my mother has any shape to hold him, but off we rode. And I'd like to say one thing about my brother before I forget. You'll notice that I have no notes. But Brad was steadfast. Is the only word I can think truly describe him. When something was assigned to him or he assigned himself to it, he did it. He followed through. He didn't waver. It was just something that needed to be done, and I really believe that's how he approached all life. Is if this is what's in front of me, I'm going to manage it. And I could tell you great stories about the fine restaurants in Canada called the Maggedy Lamb and the Bloated Oaf, but they don't exist. They were just in Brad's and my mind, and we would have so much fun with that stupid stuff. But we go up scuba diving. We did some magnificent dives up in the Gulf Islands and the San Juans, where the water was clear as gin. And We just had marvelous times hiking up in Kings Canyon, going to a place called Beetle Rock with Mom and Dad. We'd go up to this place that had nothing but kerosene lanterns and wood stoves, and we'd go out in the starry nights. I could go on, and as my kids would say, you probably would. So again, these are my children, Brad's nieces and nephews, my wife. And I'd really like to finish with something that Sandy said about the Buddhist quote, and it's regarding the energy. And when I sat here, I thought, energy is really an interesting thing that we know very little about. And I really picture Brad as energy, skiing down Mammoth without a pair of skis, riding a bicycle up Gibraltar without a bicycle. I see him, I think he's everywhere. And I think someday, we'll all be with him. And on that, I've really got nothing less, please, if you've got things to add to this, please do. Not on the spot at all, are you? But that's about all I've got. I really want this to be open to all of you, and all of you who want to say something. We'd really appreciate it. I mean, he was my best friend. So with that, thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Jeff. And now, Brad's nephew, David, is going to read the memories from Brad's mother, Maxine.
Hi, everybody. So from our Nana, as we call her, Brad was 16 in 1972 when their dad had died. The pastor said we should not stay at home, so after school was out, for both of us, we took a trip. Brad first wanted to go to Las Vegas. He wanted to try the slot machine, so I bought him a roll of nickels and stood beside him. If he won, my hand was right there since he was mine. From there, we drove to Carlsbad Caverns. The ranger showed us the 3 sepia drawings of Jesus on the wall of the cave. From friends, we learned, that's better. From friends, we learned later that the sketches had disappeared. Our next trip was to drive to see Jeff in Washington. From there, we drove to the 1974 World's Fair in Spokane, Washington. We enjoyed doing so many things together, like the ice capades. Another year in, he graduated. His chosen school was Santa Barbara, but he always came home, so we had the holidays together. My second husband and I would drive to Santa Barbara to visit him, or he came home. One summer, I went to Europe, so Brad and a friend took my car to visit Jeff. Then they went on to Banff in Alberta, Canada. We have always been very close, and I miss him every day.
Thank you, David. And now I'd like to have Josh, Brad's very good friend, come up and share memories. Josh Rosenberg.
Hi. I'll try to get through this. Tissues right here. Okay, everybody buckle up. I knew Brad really well. I've known him for almost 37 years. We always kind of joked about this when he first had the health scare way back. I was born in the same hospital where Brad was taken care of. I was born in the same hospital where Brad passed away. And it was like that kind of cosmic connection that I felt with Brad and that I had with Brad. It was something like unexplainable from the second I met the guy. And wow, okay. I just can't believe he's gone. Like I said, I knew him for about 37 years. Basically started off my working life. Is this thing working? You guys hear me in the back? I was sick of working some lame food service job on the UCSB campus, and my grandfather got me a job at this engineering firm, URS, in 1985, where Brad was doing some weird, complicated geography thing that that he was really proud of. I kind of had no interest in that world whatsoever, no offense to those that know him from that world. But I was really psyched to come to work every day simply to hang with Brad. And in the end, I did learn a lot. But why they ever put me and him in an office was just where we were just seemingly non-productive and spent a ton of time talking and making stupid jokes, which we still continue to do, like from that day forward. I still remember the first day I saw the guy. I thought he was, wow, with his Ray-Ban glasses on. Who is this stoner dude that's like in this office? I'm like, I'm working with him? Right on, man. I mean, I'm in. And even when I saw him as recently as early May, just a few months ago when he was home from the hospital, we simply sat outside and laughed at stuff, literally everything we could think of. We collectively, he and I made fun of like the funniest, tiniest, mundane stuff, and everything was in play for our brand of humor, or really more accurately, like his brand of humor, which, as all you know, was like ridiculous and stupid and basically funny. I mean, he eventually had to tell me to stop making him laugh, that it hurt too much, but that's how my relationship with Brad started, and that's how it ended, and that's what I'll miss the most. When it's all said and done, you're remembered for the impact that you have on others. And Brad had a huge impact in my life simply for always being there. He was a constant, and at times annoying, presence in my life. I'm kidding mostly, but truly we were always friends. He visited me frequently when I lived in New York in the 90s, and we'd go check out music at small clubs like the Bottom Line, or saw the Grateful Dead like a dozen times over those years at Madison Square Garden, and we still talk about it. And this love of music really brought us together, right? In the years to follow, we took numerous skiing trips together to Utah. And some of you may know Brad studied snow science or something like that at Mammoth during his college years. Was always be needing to tell me about the exact structure of the snow, and like I didn't give a shit. I was like, okay, but hey, I didn't complain. I love the guy. We also shared an intense love of cycling. We both rode together. We were avid pro cycling fans. And despite our always physical distance, we would always watch World Tour cycling events together, texting each other in real time during key races or Grand Tour stages. And the 2022 Tour de France starts on Friday. It'll be the first time I've ever watched the tour without him. He predated my interest in pro cycling, but now that legacy will live on with me, and I'll never watch pro cycling or basically even throw my leg over a bike without thinking of Brad. Brad was a big brother to me. I never actually had one, but then I realized that I did in Brad. He was the man. He was simply like the funniest, best, goofiest guy I ever known. At the same time, he and I were like oil and water, mostly because of my high energy, enthusiasm for things that I loved, and how mellow Brad was about it all. But that was his personality, and he really knew his stuff, and I loved the knowledge that he brought to the table. Perhaps most significantly, as I said, we were both able to share our love of music. Much in the same way as I understood it, Jeff represented for Brad in that way. Brad was that person for me that was the link to the early days of rock and roll, in the early 70s when I was little. Brad was that guy for me. Brad was telling me about the albums that he took from Jeff when Jeff left for Vietnam, and all of them, just like an Almost Famous, go into the room, put on a candle for Tommy, and you'll see the future. Those kind of stories. So he'd tell me all these stories about shows he saw, and that I wish that I was old enough to see. And of course, I gave him a hard time about the shows that then when I was older, I knew that he should have gone to, like Day on the Green, Led Zeppelin, 1977, mentioned that basically twice a week. Why the hell didn't you go to that show, dude? He's like, he copped to that one, he blew it. But his first Dead show in 1974, February 26, 1974, Cow Palace, Daly City. first Dead show, one of the best Dead shows ever. We talk about that like every night. But when the tables turned eventually, and I became more and more involved in music, both personally and professionally, and eventually, most recently, I was able to bring Brad, or maybe sometimes more appropriately, dragged him to shows and dragged Janice to one. She still tells me she hated it. He probably never would have seen or have been exposed to, and probably I took him to the energy, to the limit of his energy at like every single one of them. But he was there, albeit from like a seat way in the back. But he started out in the front with me, and then I turn around, he's not there. He always had a great time, and I'm so incredibly happy that we got to spend that time together. Brad and I actually never lived in the same city as adults. I think I mentioned that, save for a few years towards my time at the end of my time at UCSB, but we were simply always on the same wavelength and constantly stayed in touch throughout all the years that I knew him. He continues to live with me to this day in much the same way that he always had. And this is a huge comfort for me. It's his legacy for me, and I assume for everybody. All the things we did together, the fun times we shared together, and that'll just live on forever with me. My kids knew him, appreciated him, loved him. I knew how much he meant to me, and that he was a part of my family. He participated in the key events in my life and was always interested in what was up with all three of my kids all the time. We've been all, my kids and him, we all even went to shows together. We attended a show at the Mass Mocha near the Epic Show, and thunderstorms, rain delay. We still talked about it. We almost didn't make it home that night because Brad made me drive, and then they had to stop at McDonald's, and it's 2:30 in the morning, and it's a windy road, but we got there. And then we went on the pond, right? And Brad, it was always something. But there's so many things in my life that I can attribute to Brad's influence, from little things like tech to stupid little meaningless things that I'm not even going to mention here. You can ask me afterwards. But also music, cycling, skiing, everything else we shared. I'm so grateful that Brad got to be part of my professional endeavors in the music industry as well. And that he got to see me launch my podcast on live music, and that he's been one of my biggest fans, supporters, cheerleaders in this endeavor, and I could always count on him for terrific and enthusiastic feedback. And I'm pretty sure he was enjoying living vicariously through my contact with some of the major artists that he really admired, that I spoke to. And I was really happy to be able to share with him not only all these successes, but even the little tidbits of information that I knew he'd enjoy. He just ate it up, and I loved it. He is and always will be one of the cornerstones of my love of music, and the only person that had been there with me pretty much since the beginning of my own personal journey and obsession with music, and I'll always owe him a huge debt of gratitude for that. So in closing, what I want to leave with everybody is just a sense of how Brad was an expert at being in the moment. Just being in the moment. Wherever we were, whatever we did, it was always that thing that was happening. In that moment in time, that was the most important and coolest thing that we could do or even imagine in that moment. It was like the secret sauce that Brad had, where, at least for me, he could create amazing and special moments out of thin air. And that was just the most amazing thing about Brad. That's what I'll just miss the most about him. It was those special moments of being a friend, hanging out together, and just digging into the moment with humor, levity, and super enthusiasm. And I'll always take this attitude with me wherever I go. And I hope that everyone will remember that special quality that he always brought to every situation, and how he positively impacted those around you. So I love you, Brad. You're my brother. And there you go. There you go. I knew it would slip out. And I'd be remiss for Brad and for everyone else if I didn't say that once in a while you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. There you go.
Thank you, Josh. And now let's sit back and just watch some visual memories of Brad.
telling your whiskey blood. When your mind way outside, that's okay. You got a smoke ring, he just won't go away. I heard today she had to go. And I guess we all get carried away. It's just the same with a cigarette, John. That's okay. You got a smoke ring, he just won't go away. And you deserve better, and that's all I know. And I just hope they get it right in that place that you're going. And you shall be covered in a circle of gold. Don't you let some angel go away. Your smoke ring. We are gonna miss you on your home. And so let's stay home. Cause our heart and lips are torn, and that's the way. Cause you got a smoke ring, just one more. In the attics of my life, full of cloudy dreams unreal, full of tastes no tongue can know, and lies no eye can see. When there was no ear to hear, you sang to me. I have spent my life seeking all that's still unsung. Bend my ear to hear the tune, and close my eyes to see. When there were no strings to play, lazy summer morning, you ain't got time to bother, so pretty. Right outside the lazy summer world, working well the not catch wings on the lawn, just So let the morning rain. The heart has a season to change and soul to soul.
Wow. Thanks, Alec. And now we have a video sharing from Brad and Janice's good friend from San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, Ann Huffner.
Ann Kuffner here. Mike and I can't make it for the memorial due to him having several surgeries the last couple of weeks and he's so sick. So I wanted to do a video in memory of Brad. I've been thinking about him a lot and I just still can't wrap my head around the fact that he's not here with us. We talked to him after he got out of the hospital and he sounded so chipper. We thought that he was on the road to recovery. So it's been a great shock for us, and I just can't imagine not being around. Brad and I have a relationship that went back to the SIC days when he and Janice and I all worked together there from the late 90s. And he was a network administrator, and that's how I first met him. I said he was the guy that would come and help me with all my computer problems. And he continued in that role, for the whole time that we knew him. He was always our network guy, our computer geek to help Mike and I, always infinitely patient, and we totally relied upon him. But Janice and I worked together closely, and we became very good friends. So I knew him separate initially, and then I got to know him as her boyfriend. And this is before they got married. And so I had a ringside seat to watch the relationship as it progressed and watch the ups and downs. And then I was there when he had his first episode, the first aortic rupture, and watched Janice, be the solid rock who was there all the time. And, we all know Brad, those of us who've known him for a while, he wasn't exactly eager to get married initially, but after that, boy, he couldn't wait to get married. They both waited a long time. They were only married once, but they were the perfect match. And after that, Mike and I, I retired early and moved to Belize. Mike and I bought property and built a duplex there on Ambergris Key that Janice invested in before she got married. And but once they got married and got together, the two of them came down a lot. We spent months of time together. They were my scuba diving buddies, and we were out in the water all the time. And eventually, it was been more than a year. And we were neighbors. They had the other side of the duplex. So we did so many things together, so many wonderful memories. We cooked together, and Mike and Brad would take turns cooking. And Brad had his special dishes. He made these killer cooked tenderloin with a special rub, and then he got into cocktails. He taught us all about these specialty bourbon cocktails. I never had bourbon, but until Brad turned me onto it, now I'm a bourbon lover. Memories of him taking us to a special place in San Francisco where we tried a bunch of bourbon cocktails. And anyway, those were very, very happy days. And I still can't believe that this has occurred. And we were so fortunate to talk to Brad. Right after he got back from the hospital, we thought he was okay. He sounded good. He was a little goofy. He was funny as always. He just always made me laugh with his silly puns. I just loved him. I'm sure there are times when Janice got tired of him, but she heard him before, but I always just got a kick out of it. And then there's also a couple things that those of you who've known him for a while might remember. Brad was wonderful, had so many qualities, but he could also be a little bit inflexible at times. He wasn't exactly a dog person when he was with Janice, and she was always a dog person. He didn't really want to get a dog, and she and I would talk about this. And so when I would go to Belize and I needed somebody to take care of Guinness, I'd say, how about, let's see, do you think you could be willing to do that? So she talked him into it, and they took care of Guinness for a month when I was gone. And Guinness, being his cuddly self, he just sucked up to Brad. And, when I returned, it just tickled me to see how Guinness was cuddling up with Brad, and they've become the best of buds. So at the point that I moved permanently to Belize, and, we realized Guinness would not survive there. And so Janice and Brad ended up becoming, instead of being godparents, they became the adoptive parents. And you all know how close the Brad was to Guinness. And then the other thing that tickled me was the whole RV thing, that Brad did not want to oh, it's too expensive, I don't want to do it. But when we sold the duplex and paid Janice and Brad off, there was that money in hand. There was no longer excuse. So they went and did the research and got the Silver Street. And after that, you would think it was all Brad's idea. He's a geographer. He had so much fun planning out. We always had details of how we planned out these trips, and where they were going, these special places, and we would be videoing it. I'd be waiting to see those videos on Instagram and other ways. Anyway, but you would think it was his idea. So I watched those kinds of things happen. But I know, Janice, this is going to be an enormous toll in your life and all of ours. What you have to do. You'll always be my dearest friend, and we'll have new adventures together. And we'll reminisce about Brad, because he's such a special person. He deserved more years, but we personally feel very fortunate with having had so many good times with him and with you as a foursome. And we'll continue to have good times with you. Without Brad, but remembering him with love. I hope to see you soon, or the end of the summer. Take care. Love you.
Okay, and now Alec and Pam would like to get up and talk.
Hey everybody, I am his nephew. This is my mother, Pam. Just a little tidbit about Brad, what he meant to me. He was always someone I looked up to. He was an uncle, but he felt like a big brother because we always joked around about stuff, and I could hang loose with him. He was a guy that I could just hang out with, talk about music. Cars is also another thing that we connected on. Connected over his Saab wagon that was the quirkiest thing, just like him, that I'd ever seen. I just thought it was so cool. And the other thing, I learned a lot of things from him. One of them being is that he never worried that much about stuff. He lived in the moment. Especially while I knew him, he enjoyed the moment, and it seemed like every day that came by, it was his day. He lived it the way he wanted to. And so, in memoriam of him, as a keepsake for whoever wants them, we created shirts. I created a design on the logo. that has his hat and his glasses and has some palm trees behind him because he loved to be in Belize. And on the back is a quote that is by him. And I did tons of research, and this is his quote. And it says, "I let the day come to me." That's not a Mark Twain quote, it's a Brad quote. So whoever wants to donate towards the park that he helped keep up and helped orchestrate, you can get a shirt. And all the money goes towards the park there in Berkeley. So we'd appreciate it. I'm sure he would definitely appreciate it. So, oh yes. And then for people who aren't here or aren't in the aren't in the space to buy one today and donate, there will be a Google Drive that's sent to everyone's email afterwards. You put your name, your email, and your address, and we'll make sure we get the shirt to you at a later date if you cannot do it today. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now we'd very much like to open this to an open sharing. So if there's anybody who would like to come up here and share any memories that you have of Brad, please do. Or I could maybe bring this mic too. But it's probably be better for the people that are viewing online if you come up here.
Okay, see if I can figure out the microphone this time. Uncle Brad, him and I got really close these last, and Janice, these last 5 years, about when I got out. And
Of the Marine Corps.
right. Yeah. Not prison. Yeah. Well, actually, it is kind of prison. So, there's a few things about him and his laugh, like thinking about him, his laugh was one of those, you don't hear that from most people. And, another thing was, after Aunt Janice and him got that Sprinter, they visited a few times where I live in Gardnerville, Nevada. And he always had a different beer, which I love beer. As, and but he always had a different beer, and it's the first thing he would bring out. He would always have, and he just knew. We kind of shared that, which is not the best thing I guess you could share with somebody is alcohol, but yeah, I really appreciated him, and I'll always hear his laugh. It was, yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Daniel. Anybody else like to share?
My name is John Steer. I'm founder and president of Berkeley Partners of Parks. And I met Brad, it's been about 7, 8 years ago. He was holding court in his favorite place, outside of his house, of course, at the time beside Belize. And that was the Schoolhouse Creek Commons. And that was where every week he would host a big party there, or basically a dinner party for all the neighbors and friends who lived in the vicinity. And of course, everyone probably knows that he loves to cook, and so this is a place where he invited friends to come. I happened to be there on a bicycle with a bunch of other friends doing a tour, and I recruited him on the spot to say, "Would you like to be part of Berkeley Partners of Parks? Join our board." He thought, "Yes, I would." Emblem of how in the moment he is, and how much he just thrived in experiencing people around him. And, oh, I love this. It's something he loved Berkeley too, so this is a way for him to get back to the place he loved so much. And over the years, became actually quite quickly became the secretary. It was talk about steadfast. He was the best note taker any of the secretaries ever had in 25 years. He would record them and he would write them down, and he would have very detailed notes. We never would revise them; they were always accurate. And I often would host him at my house. We'd have an outdoor sauna, and And he called me up and said, let's do a song together. So I did the song together. I was being close. I know, it was hot, close and hot. Quite enjoyable. And to regale me the stories of being Belize and visiting family and so on. So it was really lovely. And like everyone here, I'm going to miss him so much. His warmth, his geniality, his joie de vivre, and of course that limitless laughter was just something that always touched my heart. It will live there forever. Thank you.
Hopefully this will be short and sweet and I can get through it. Wrote it this afternoon. Dear Brad, after your passing, a writing project randomly came to mind. Letters to the dead. Letters to those I love. Letters to those that are no longer physically on this earth, but whose spirits are here now more than ever. Letters to hold, honor, and cherish those spirits every day in my life, in the lives of my children, and in this world. It is fitting that you are the inspiration for this project and that this letter to you be my first. Fitting because you have been the gentle giant next door for over a decade now. Fitting because your physical presence in our world has been a great gift. Fitting because we needed you when we moved in, and my, did you deliver. When we met, I was a new mother, struggling with my mom's death and not long before, and with challenges with my dad's absence, the aftermath. I needed kindness and support in my life and wanted to bring it into the lives of my girls too. You and Janice filled that void for us in a way that feels miraculous now in retrospect. I cannot overstate the gratitude I feel for you. I write to your spirit now to thank you. Thank you for blowing the leaves off my steps and sidewalk each month. Street and porch chats, passing food over the fence, cuddling and caring for my pup, pork tenderloin perfectly cooked at the park, and sharing bicycle races with and loving my children. He also shared the cottage that he and Janice shared with all of our guests, and my brother recently shared that my brother told his now fiance that he loved her for the first time in that cottage. So that there for gratitude too, as well as the chuckles others have mentioned. Above all else, thank you for being chosen family next door. You have touched us deeply, hence all my tears. Touched us by the way you experience life with what feels like ease and wonder. We miss you. I know the feeling of loss will not leave. I also know your spirit is now everywhere. Another theme. I see you in flowers, leaves in the wind, and bicycles, among many other things. I feel you in certain thoughts and sensations, curiosity and generosity, to name a few. I imagine you with my mom, my ex-husband Pablo's dad, and others I have loved and lost. You are all outside with music and dancing. You gave us the gift of your example of how to live, feel joy, even light of pain, and just be. One moment at a time in this world. Thank you for this gift. I promise to continue to hold, cherish, and celebrate you in life. Your gift, my gift to you, is to promise to follow your lead and be here for Janice too. Love, Liz, Pamela, Noemi, and Bubbles.
Thank you. You know, we have a fly that's flying around, so I'm not sure. It could be. Anybody else? Anybody else can share?
Thank you. My name is Matthew.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
My name is Matthew. I knew Brad as a neighbor. I wasn't acquainted with him as a music enthusiast or didn't know much about his experience in geography or his cooking or anything like that. I knew him as a person who came to our park in our neighborhood, and this enormous person with enormous energy. And he sort of pulled myself and our neighbors together. And I would think that for most of us, having one park project in our neighborhood would be enough. But for him, it's two, and maybe even more. We bonded as Fresnans. He was born there. I grew up in Fresno, and I looked forward to learning from him and, discovering more of these things. And unfortunately, these are the circumstances where I'm learning about him. And it's so rewarding, and it's obvious how much of a small gift he was to me. It's obviously even more to everyone else here. So I'm just in my small way thankful for Brad and everything that he's given us and to our community. And I hope that I can speak on behalf of everybody else in my West Street Park group to say that he's a loss that's deeply missed just in that corner. But it means a lot to us. You mean a lot for us too.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Much has been said about our living soul. Scientists say that life is energy. How do we measure energy? Energy cannot dissipate, but only change forms. There's a peace that passes all understanding, and that life is eternal and continues to move forward, albeit in a different form. Brad has gone on in his journey in another form and a new awareness. His light now shines on a new world that we are not yet privileged to comprehend. Yes, you shall miss the contact that you enjoyed with him. Physical death leaves a void for those who must remain behind. But we can lessen this void with an awareness of recognizing the precious value of life. Allow Brad's life to give meaning to your life. That the experience of his presence enhances your existence and expands your appreciation of love and life. Let the light of his life join with yours, so together they may illuminate the dark corners of the world. And now Janice would like to share.
It's hard to follow all those wonderful comments from everyone. Thank you. And I would like to thank everyone, as well as everyone listening online, to share this celebration of Brad's life with us. I'm very grateful for all the heartfelt messages I've been receiving. They've been both very much a comfort as well as overwhelming when I realized the depth of Brad's connection to so many people at so many levels. I would like to read a poem that I received from a friend not long after Brad passed. I've been reading it on days to help me get through trying to understand what still seems to me to be so unreal and hard to comprehend. You can shed tears because they are gone, or you can smile because they lived. You can close your eyes and pray they will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that they left for you. Your heart can be empty because you can't see them, or you can be full of the love you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember only that they are gone, or you can cherish their memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind and feel empty, or you can do what they would want. Smile, open your heart, love, and go on.
Oh, absolutely.
One of Brad's and I favorite little quips is that geology rocks, but geography is where it's at.
One more?
Hi, I'm April. I was a colleague of Brad at SAIC. Janice was my amazing boss. Me and Brad bonded over so many things, but a couple of things that come to mind was when I used to go to their Christmas gatherings every year, or holiday gatherings every year. Brad showed me his pork tenderloin recipe. And to this day, I make it exactly the same way. It always comes out perfect, it always comes out tender. And I always think of him every time I make it for my family. And we also bonded over Beyonce. Now, I love Beyonce. Brad loved Beyonce. He used to send me all types of footage of her and emails. And I'm like, wow, I thought I loved Beyonce. And one time, me and my sister was actually going to the Beyonce concert. And I'm like, Brad, you know Beyonce's coming to Oakland. He was like, me and Janice is going too. And I'm like, so Brad was amazing. He was so funny. He was full of life. And when I got the news of his passing, I was devastated. Like, I was on my way to a party and I was 2 hours late because I just sat there and cried because I'm like, not my Bradford. I never called him Brad, I always called him Bradford. And he was just a sweetheart. And I sent a message to Janice saying, you know, even though I was heartbroken over his death, you know, God, you know, he gave us an additional 19 years with Brad. So I remember Brad got really sick. And luckily he made it through and we got 19 more years with him. And he was able to have an amazing life with Janice, and I'm so grateful that he was able to overcome getting sick the first time. So Janice, you are in my prayers. I love you. I miss you so much. And I hate that I have to have a reunion with you. But Brad, you work in mysterious ways. I get to see my JW again. Thank you.
Thank you, April. Okay, so we're gonna end the service. Tyler's gonna sing a song, and I'd like you all to stay seated while Tyler's singing. And then Janice would like to invite you to the reception, continue to share your memories. And if you haven't signed the guest book yet, it's a good time to sign the guest book too. So as we go forth this evening, know that this body we have is only the robe of our soul. We take good care of this robe, But when the sun sets for any of us, we have taken off that robe and we have raised into that greater domain. As Brad's journey continues, we give thanks for having had the opportunity to walk a while with Brad.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. The body of always hung as we sailed into the mist. And heart now hear the sailors cry. Smell the sea, feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mist. When that fire point goes, you know I'll be coming home. When that fire point goes, I won't feel it. No, I don't have to feel it. I wanna rock a gypsy soul. It's like way back in the days of old. Together we will flow into the mist. When that fire point goes, you know I'll be coming home. When that fire coil whistle blows, I wanna hear it. I don't have to feel it. I wanna rock a gypsy soul. Just like way back in the days of old. Magnificently we will float into the mist. Into the mist. Into the mist.
Brad was here. Thank you. How about you?